That's where I want to be.
Snowball throwing, that's what I'll do. How I'm longing to ski through the snow.
We should just talk and not record this movie because you guys are just gonna how this is not a Christmas movie. I don't understand. It takes place on Christmas Eve.
I didn't know that.
Welcome to the first two special holiday episodes of Three and a Half Gentlemen, the podcast, where three of the four hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies from our private collections, while one of us tries desperately to keep up. We'll let you decide which host is which, but for now, joining me as always are my fellow Santa Clausians, Jeremiah.
Snow.
Eddie.
You didn't expect me to come down in a bathrobe, did you?
And Brandon.
Let's just say we're doing it for an old pal in the army.
For our two-part Christmas special, we'll be looking at two very different holiday films, two completely different holiday films. The first being a Christmas classic, and the second being a Christmas monster mashup.
Yeah, maybe. As with every review we give, our goal is to answer one simple question. How many drinks does it take to get through to the film that we just watched? Now, at the end of the podcast, we'll rate the movie based on a scale of 0 to 5, 0 being a perfect film that you can watch stone cold sober, and 5 being some of the film that makes you feel like you just watched a movie selected by our own host, Sean.
So a good one with good taste.
I don't know about that. Oh, shit.
You like
let me guess, The Fountain. Yes, I do.
Man.
No.
Jesus.
The fountain. The
Drinks
fountain
already
has
coming
been
in.
replaced by you like Hocus Pocus 2. So let's go. Let's have a fun day.
On that note, we're going to be taking a look at 1954's White Christmas, which follows Bob Wallace and Phil Davis, World War II veterans who've become a popular song and dance team in the years following the war. However, their lives become upended when they meet the Haynes sisters, Betty and Judy. The four of them travel to a snowless Vermont during the Christmas holiday and to put on a grand old show in hopes of saving a failing inn, which is run by Wallace and Davis's former World War II general. Starring Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, George's own aunt, and Vera-Ellen. White Christmas has earned an IMDb rating of 7.6 out of 10 and has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 76%, with the critics and an audience score of 88%, which means that Eddie and I are in the minority 100%. There's some stats for you guys.
I just want to see when the last time somebody voted on. I wonder when the last time somebody voted on this.
Probably
Hold on,
1957.
Yeah, no.
Everyone's not around anymore.
Good movies hadn't come out
People
yet.
watch this every year. It is on Netflix. It is on Netflix from like November through January, so people go watch it. Some people watch this movie.
That's because they forgot that it was even on
They're
there.
catering to the geriatric crowd.
Or they're carrying people who have good taste in movies. I don't know what to tell you. As with every movie that we review, we try to pair our selection with a cocktail that we hope will enhance the viewing experience. Ed, take us through the tasty holiday treat that we'll be enjoying.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's snowing or dry outside. The Christmas holiday is made better by a mug of hot chocolate. So tonight we'll be drinking spiked hot chocolate. Take your favorite hot chocolate and add whatever alcohol of your choice. Some great options include peppermint schnapps, brandy, rum, whiskey, or bourbon, or Irish cream. After you add the booze, you can add all of it and find out what happens. But throw in some marshmallows and cover the top with whipped cream, and then so you can enjoy a white Christmas treat.
So
there's one drink that I recall that Brandon gave us, and it was a peppermint schnapps.
That was for golf that one day. That was Amanda's mom. But we also had it for. We went and looked at Christmas lights one time, and you had to walk around the neighborhood to look at Christmas lights. And I swear to God, 3 blocks in, I was stumbling and bumbling around. It was just like there was more booze than chocolate.
Peppermint schnapps is no fucking
like
joke.
A liqueur. Yeah,
no, it's like it's like rubbing alcohol to taste good is what it is. It's fucking amazing. But wait.
Do you really put it with this hot chocolate?
Yeah, or just by itself.
I make it even better. Ready? Eddie, here's how we make it better. We take white hot chocolate, which is my favorite, and then you add in the peppermint schnapps and you add in the whipped cream, like two little marshmallows. It is the tastiest thing in the whole damn world. So I'm telling you, if you haven't had white hot chocolate peppermint schnapps.
Anyway,
was it really filmed in Vermont at all? Is this all filmed in Vermont?
This is all filmed in the studio. 100% of it's filmed in the studio.
No, really? I never guessed it was in the studio.
If you ever seen Holiday Inn, it's the same stage.
It's the same stage. It's same everything.
It's the same get up, dude.
Except for that, and actually, what's really funny is "White Christmas," the song from this movie, debuted in Holiday Inn. Right? Yeah. It was the Christmas song for that movie. So that's just funny.
So this Christmas song is holding up this movie 100%.
You're just waiting for the song.
No, I don't think so. I think this movie has some of the greatest songs in all musicals. If you're going to put this on a list of musicals, I think this is top 10 of front to back great songs. It has some of the most iconic dance sequences. Some of the most stand music is great. That's number one.
I just saw Singing in the Rain, and that was fucking great. That was awesome.
It's great. No, anyways, let's just get it out in the open. So what was the problem? What was the big problem you had with the movie?
Let's do the expectations. Let's also do expectations.
That's good. I agree. I like that.
I think we should talk about that.
Yeah. Let's start PG-13, Sean. Come on.
All right.
We can go right into the heart of it.
I want to know what was so objectionable about the movie. It's like I've sat through big piles of dog shit. This one, it was actually.
Listen, I'll start real quick. So it's not objectionable. It's not the worst movie ever made. And I think, Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're on the same page of this, is that it was not anything what we expect. And that, I know that's not a reason to hate a movie or to dislike a movie, but when you hear, I don't know, the word Christmas in the title, you expect there to be like something revolving around Christmas. And the fact that it's set on Christmas Eve, and there's reference to Christmas technically twice. The beginning when they're having the Christmas hoedown right before they get bombed, and then at the end when they have the tree and then they make out behind the tree. And I sat down with I have my Christmas jammies on right now, and I was expecting this just Hallmark hug of just like goodness, and I just got a whole lot of like seedy bars that I would have expected from something like I don't know, The Godfather. And it was not what I expected at all.
CD
Eduardo.
bars?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. When I say CD bars, I mean like 1950s.
What's a CD bar?
Oh, where they dance.
I see where you're going on that part. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. So I never watched this movie, and I think I was with Brandon. I had the high expectations of hearing all the great things of this movie. And maybe that's where it came in a little bit too much for me. It's like I was expecting Miracle on what's the street, Miracle on 34th. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was expecting to see a little bit Santa Claus in here somehow, but I got a couple references during a lot of the middle of the movie. There was a lot of I see that they went on show, they went on tour, but then like it wasn't about Christmas anymore at all. It was about this friendship and this love and hate relationship, and then he just wants him to get married so he can have some time to himself, and then it's like becomes this. Yeah, no, it was honestly it was a 2-hour movie, and I want to say 20 minutes of it I took any Christmas out of it. Most of it was a lot of musicals, which it wasn't bad. I just feel like the movie misplayed the name. The script just didn't, and the very beginning, I liked the military reference, but I mean, I did think I laughed at times thinking how it didn't age so well. I felt like I was in the studio, if that made sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it was definitely matte painting, and I mean, it was it was definitely that era of making movies where it was very like
the end of Blazing
that era too. Yeah, I've seen movies from that era. From that era that's also done amazing, and I still like Frankenstein, for example, like it's just like whoa, like it takes me out of it took me to a whole new place. And this movie, I could never get out of the backdrops of each scene. I felt like. But go ahead.
So a lot of and I will say for a lot of the movies of this generation, I'm not going to defend it because it has a lot of. I mean, it reuses the same sets from every other movie because that's what they did in the time. This was a vehicle for music, to get music onto the screen. So if you think about like the history of musicals, they were all a way to get a Broadway play onto the television where people could watch it, or into the theater where people could watch it. So if you look at like this, or if you look at we talked about earlier, Singing in the Rain. Those were all stage productions brought on to the screen.
But it's kind of remarkable that this director, his name is Michael Curtiz, and this guy directed Casablanca. He directed Angels with 30 Faces, The Adventures of Robin Hood. And so it's interesting that somehow in his career he went into musicals, but Casablanca and White Christmas, they don't even feel like the same vibe. They're just totally different, like, styles of it, like, how to watch films. But I read that something about White Christmas is not only the best-selling Christmas song, but it sold 50 million copies.
Yep.
I can understand why this movie has been passed down from generations. When I think about this movie, guys, I think about our grandparents or people that are not around. You know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know what it is. I understand what you guys are talking about. You only get White Christmas at the beginning of the movie, at the end of the movie. You know what I'm saying? That's the only time they actually reference Christmas for me when I was watching this. But there's something about it has a warm feeling for people and just for families that are not around. I don't know. It made me think about a lot of people that are just not here anymore. I don't know if movies are supposed to be able to do that, but that's how I felt when I was watching this.
It transports you. And one of the things about the movie that I love, I don't agree. I think the movie is 100% about Christmas, because if you look at the Wallace and Davis show, so you've got these two guys who, one saved the other's life, quote unquote, in the war, and they went on tour together, and they were very successful. And then they have to lay everyone off for Christmas. So basically, for like 3 months, nobody gets paid. Everyone has to go home to their families. They don't have a place to go. They kind of just say, shut the doors. Okay, well, here's your bonus. We'll see you next year. And they go to this place in Vermont. They follow these two women who have an act of their own. And they meet their old general, who's got a failing in Vermont, and they have this opportunity to give him the greatest Christmas gift ever. It became less about the show and more about having his whole infantry there on Christmas Eve, and him having to wear his military uniform and being on the Ed Sullivan Show and announcing it on the Ed Sullivan Show and say, come to Vermont. I know it's Christmas Eve. I know it sucks, but make this sacrifice for someone that we love. And
let's do it for the captain again.
Let's respect the general again and give him a little dignity. And I think that, to me, is where the movie just swells. And it's just my happy place, I guess. And that's all I'm going to say. Go ahead, Brandon.
So I do. We need to talk about. I know we're kind of going way out of order, and we haven't really talked about any specifics. But I do have to commend one beautiful, perfect, and I would say perfect moment in this film, and it's one that got my heartstrings. It's one that got my eyeball strings. It is the moment when the commanding general, the major general, walks out in his uniform that fits perfectly and beautifully. My gosh, he looks regal and commanding in that. And you see his face recognition. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean here, but the best acting in the entire movie was that one shot where he realizes all of his men are there. And I thought that I'm not going to say it saved the movie, but it definitely brought a levity to the movie that I wanted. And I, so let me just back up real quick. And just real quick is that over the last year and then this year, Amanda and I have gotten, deep into the Hallmark Christmas movie feel. Like, I mean, they're absolute trash movies, but my God, they just make you feel just like, oh, hey, the spirit, the time. And I think that's what I wanted. And I'm just what I think it was is faulty marketing. And I say that not on their part, but like, you hear, White Christmas and you think of it as, I thought of it's going to be
expectation.
Faulty expectation is what it is. And I think more than anything, like, yes, the song and dances were fun. The jokes were fun. Danny Kaye is a funny guy. Bing Crosby, first time I ever saw Bing Crosby, I thought he was really great. But man, it was such a letdown for me that I had a hard time getting past it. But that one scene when he sees all of his men there, that one hits hard, and I think it hits hard in a beautiful way. So I do want to say there's good to this movie for sure.
Brandon, I totally understand. It's like, when you watch the Neverending Story and the story ends and it's kind of bullshit, you're like, well, it's supposed to be a Neverending Story. What the fuck, However, I actually think one of the best scenes I thought in the movie was Phil and Judy in the first dance number.
The best things happen when you're dancing.
I could have swore that La La Land, took notes from that particular dance scene and added to it because it was identical. It was so classic. It was so timeless. And I just thought of Sean when I was like watching. I was just like, God,
This
man,
is a Sean
motherfucker,
movie.
dude. I feel warm and I feel so happy. What's going on here? It's this film. It's this scene. So I actually thought that dancing was really good.
No, I do. As I throughout this movie, I do see what you like in it. Like I see things I like. I like. Okay, I can see that this is a Sean's. It's Christmas time. It's cold. I want something nice and something
toddy,
cozy and to eat and warm and a hot toddy. And I want to. I could see you watching this when it's snowing outside. I don't know why. I could just be like, and you just have it'd be a great night.
Yes,
Yeah.
he has a fireplace and he has his scotch and he's gonna watch his fucking movie.
Just no snow outside.
Well,
That's
and
awesome.
going back, so I think that's the first. I think that's the first number, first real number of the movie after White Christmas, because you have a couple of montages of them as Wallace and Davis, but this is the first time you actually get to see, like Danny Kaye, and keeping in mind Danny Kaye and Vera-Ellen were the best dancers at the time. I mean, everyone's talking about Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, but these two are the pinnacle. They're at the top.
Yeah.
Of their careers here.
Professional
Danny Kaye
dancers.
is in the best shape of his life, and he is. I just want to point out another one of the reasons I love this movie. First of all, is the dialogue, but the second is I really love the costumes. And this is Edith Head at one of her best. And I don't know if you guys watched it. You probably watched it on Prime, which you can kind of see. But I have this on the high resolution HD Blu-ray special edition, blah, blah, blah. And the costumes are fabulous. And when they're dancing and she's wearing that pink number, it's more than just pink. It's got like 3 different colors of pink in it. And every time she moves, it kind of ruffles and it gives you this, like, I don't know, this pink ombre that's so beautiful. And
So one of them I didn't care for. I think it was Rosemary, maybe, or Betty. One of them I just felt like had less parts. I don't know if that made sense. It's like I just didn't connect to one of
She
the
had
girls.
less
I forgot which one it
personality.
was.
Did you feel that way, Eddie? I just felt like she was missing personality.
Yeah.
Betty
That's what I
Betty
mean.
was kind of playing this mother hen character, and
Yes,
she really
that's what it
didn't.
is.
She really didn't have any, like, the best scenes for me with her were when they were eating liverwurst sandwiches in that like really cool lounge.
That's
and he's
nasty.
talking about counting counting your blessings instead of sheep. That song. But
Yeah.
that was kind of her best moment. And then she had kind of that solo number at the end, but she never really developed as a character as far as, like, I don't know. She the other characters had fun with it. She never looked like she was having that much fun.
No.
Is that because she was paired with Bing, who was like Frank Sinatra of that time, it seemed like?
Dude, she was like in her mid-20s and he was like 51 or 52 in this movie and shit, dude. And what's so funny is that if she's playing Mother Hen in this movie, she's younger than Judy. Judy was Vera was like in her 30s and shit. So it's just so funny. I don't know how back in the day, but if you were a stereotype, you were a fucking stereotype, man, in like certain roles and shit, dude.
Oh, wow.
So let's talk about the most famous number. So they're in the Florida Club, and you've got the Sisters number. And I think the Sisters number is iconic for 2 reasons. First of all, when Judy and you have to understand Judy and Rosemary, what's her name?
Betty.
God dang it. Betty. When they do this the first time, they're doing it to the recording. So it's exactly the same audio both times. There's no difference in the audio. And you can see in the audio for the second time, you can see Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye lose it 3 or 4 times during their performance of Sisters. And I think it's just magical film, because all of a sudden Danny Kaye's hitting Bing Crosby, and Bing Crosby just does not know how to react to it.
I read something that scene was not in the script where like Kaye and Crosby does the Sisters number. I guess they were like fucking around during on set or something like that. And the director was laughing so much that he added that scene, or he added that whole like bit into the movie. And I think it actually works, because to me, it's just, I don't know.
They were in Florida there.
Dude.
They were in Florida. So they went from New York down to Florida. And then they went to Vermont.
I mean, technically, it started out.
They went to a couple other places, right? They were doing shows across the United States.
That was just a montage of what their career looked like, and they were in
10
New
years.
York. Yeah, in New York. They went from New York to Florida to see the Haynes sisters perform, and then they went all together. They went from Florida to Vermont.
Dude, I read something that Judy, the actress, was not singing in this movie. That's not her voice. It's someone else's voice. Is that true?
That is correct. Yeah.
What the
She was the only one that's dubbed.
Oh,
magic movies, man.
You know what's crazy?
It's bullshit.
You know what's crazy is the
See,
fact
but
that
Sorry,
Bing
go ahead.
Crosby. No, I was just say Bing Crosby. He has a normal speaking voice because I've never heard the dude speak. I've only heard him sing every November to January, and holy
Not at all. Not at all.
then he brings on the song, and he's like, "Let's go 7 octaves down." My God, he's got a baritone voice. It's just rich and just full.
It's pretty epic, dude.
I think one of the things that you guys are looking at that maybe you don't appreciate is not appreciate is not the right word, what you don't like is the caginess or campiness of the 1950s film. This is a Bing Crosby movie. If you watch Bing Crosby movies, they're all pretty much the same. He acts pretty much the same. For instance, the idea that they're have to catch a train and jump out the window because of a hole in the rug because the cigarette and the landlord comes down and they're that whole campiness, that whole terribleness to me is a product of the 1950s. Let's find a way to get from point A to point B as simply as possible and fuck off if it's plausible or not. And I can look past that kind of stuff, but I think sometimes it gets a little bogged down.
There's always a train number. There's always like, hey, we got to get on the train. We got to hop in from Florida or go to like, New York or something like that, or Vermont. There's always some type of a train that they got to hop on, and then craziness happens during the train.
So I got a question, a genuine question, and mainly for Sean. Actually, I'm going to say Sean and Jeremy because you guys do like this movie, and more power to you. But and I'm genuinely asking, do you feel that the characters had good had a good dynamic working together? Do you think that they what's the right word? What am I trying to find? Do you feel that they
chemistry?
Yeah. Do they that's the chemistry? Do they have good chemistry?
I think 3 of the 4 did.
Okay.
I think interesting. Before I actually answer this question, which one didn't have it? You think?
So I think Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby were perfect together. I think that their banter back and forth, if you actually listen to what they're saying, and they're arguing about getting 25 minutes to get a massage and blah 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 blah, their back and forth, and Bing Crosby's back and forth with most people is really good. And I think Vera-Ellen comes in and she's got kind of that dynamic with Danny Kaye because they can dance together, and when they're on screen, they're good. I feel like Rosemary Clooney can't dance at all, and she barely could fit in, and she was supposed to be the person challenging Bing Crosby vocally, and I'm not quite sure she got there as much as she thought she could. Even though her voice, I think, does pair with Bing Crosby beautiful. They did albums together after this movie, several albums together, not just this movie.
This White Christmas is Bing Crosby's big hit. I mean, I saw he did a lot of movies before, but this one put him on the map. It seems like, with looking at the ratings of all the other movies, this is the one that jumps out. Just looking at his movies, like, this is the one that put him on the map. But like, so is he in all? I mean, is he always in like a musical?
No, I think the
I
next
remember
movie,
him being the comedian.
I think the next movie he was in, he actually won an Oscar.
The Country Girl,
The Country Girl. That's it. Yeah.
To be honest, I actually had no idea this was a musical going into it. And
Yeah.
that may be. I thought it was like a movie. I thought it was a regular movie. I was expecting nothing like North by Northwest or something like that. But some of the other 50 movies we've watched, Vertigo. I don't know. I mean, was a interesting movie I watched, or Something Like It Hot. Like, just, I don't know, just a little bit more of a
little more serious, a little more film.
A little more moving around a little bit. I felt like I was stationed in the same 2-3 scenes. But I mean, I enjoyed the musical. It hit hard. It hit good. I do find myself liking the dancing of what's his name, Phil, in the movie. He was on point with his Danny Kaye. He was on point with his dancing, and then I was just like, wow, like Bean is he had a good voice. He had a really good voice. I can see it sticking out.
Yeah. I mean, going back to Brandon's question about the chemistry of all these actors, I think the chemistry was working for Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney and Vera-Ellen. There's not that much meat in this movie when you think about it. It's just like they have a plan A, plan B, plan C. The biggest things happen on plan D. That's pretty much what it is, And for a movie that was done in the 50s, this movie kind of went pretty quickly in a lot of ways, because normally the Sean movies that he brings into the table, they're like these 3-hour fucking epics.
This was 2 hours.
You gotta take 2 intermissions and shit.
Now you're complaining about a 2-hour movie.
I know.
Musical.
It was easy to watch this movie. I thought, coming from a person that I do really appreciate this movie in a lot of ways.
Brandon, you're not a fan of the chemistry.
So I'm not. No, so I don't have the repertoire that you do, Sean, or the back catalog. Maybe we'll say that of classic cinema, and so I mean, an example would be Some Like It Hot was really my introduction to the buddy comedy. I guess you would call that the buddy comedy of the 50s. And I think going in, unlike Eddie, I knew it was a musical because it had Bing Crosby in it. I knew. In fact, I actually thought that the song "White Christmas" originated here, so that was one little down point. But I was looking for the kind of chemistry that Tony Curtiz. That Tony Curtiz and Jack Lemmon had. To me, that was fantastic. I didn't love the movie, but I loved watching them. And it's funny, Jared, that what you say, I kind of disagree with, respectfully, of course. And that's the fact that for a 2-hour movie, I feel like nothing happened. I feel like, granted, things happened, but I don't know. It felt bogged down.
I see what you're saying.
Like, and maybe again, this is me taking my
expectations. You feel bogged down in musical numbers?
No. I think the musical, and I think Eddie and I
bogged down in musical numbers.
No, in plot. Okay. In plot. And Eddie kind of hit it on his head, which is, there's really like 3 scenes in this movie that I can really kind of think of, 3 or 4 scenes. And to me, not enough happened. We don't get enough of the buddy comedy. I think that Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye are good on their own, but I didn't feel like, they're genuine friends. I didn't feel like the sisters had any kind of relationship at all. And when they do meet, it's kind of like, hey, let's throw them together. And of course they're going to fall in love. And I wanted to see that kind of moving forward at a better pace, or a more, slower pace, because it just didn't seem genuine. And so for me, what I'm saying is for a 2-hour movie, and to me, that's a longish movie, a lot can happen in 2 hours. I just feel like nothing happened. I feel like, we have the story and I wanted more plot. I wanted them to go and develop their relationship up in snowless Vermont. I wanted to get that relationship built and expanded on with the Major General. And none of that happened.
That kind of movie.
I didn't care. No, and I didn't care about
that. It's not that
I
kind of movie.
didn't care about any. But this is the problem, though, Sean, is I genuinely didn't care about any character here. I just didn't care about them one way or the other. I didn't love them. I didn't hate them. It's just
the only person you're supposed to really care about or have respect for is the general. That's kind of the whole purpose of the movie, is that it's show business. They see an opportunity, and yes, he's falling in love, and yes, but it's 1950s love. You can't do much in 1950s love. You can't really. The reason why Casablanca was such an iconic film is because it explored the dynamic between Humphrey Bogart and the girl, not Irving. What's her name?
Ingrid.
Anyway, Ingrid Bergman. That was the first movie to delve deeply into this relational kind of dynamic and really revolve around that. This is a play where you're supposed to be able to sit there and enjoy the music and kind of go through it, follow the plot, get to the end, and feel something at the end for the general. That's kind of, I hate to say it, but this is not a deep movie.
There's not that much meat on this one.
No, there's no.
Yeah.
And there's and when you say
it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better that you guys also don't see it that way. Then, because maybe I was looking for a deeper meaning or deeper plot. I was just like, I just don't see enough chicken on the leg here, guys.
This is Casablanca. This is not even close.
No.
That brings up my next question. Do you think this movie changed cinema? Because you were saying earlier, there's not much meat on the bones. So how did this movie change cinema? Because if there's not much meat on the bones, I feel like I was stuck at so many different scenes, and I was hoping for things to end a little sooner than it. I was getting tired of the musical, if that made sense. I didn't want to feel that way, but I was kind of getting tired of it.
I'll tell you this much, bro. I don't think the story changed cinema or anything like that. I think the presentation changed cinema, or it had a big part of it, because this was Paramount's first Vista version, you know, where it was the highest resolution that you got to see. And imagine in the 50s where the screen is popping out from, you know, what you're watching and everything like that. So I think it really kind of changed a lot of ways how people were able to actually make films in a certain type of, like, you know, that style and everything like that. Now, it didn't change how people direct or anything like that, but I think the presentation and how to release a film, I think that kind of really did something different for, you know, movies moving forward, going into the golden age of the 60s and 70s.
To build on that, I would say the colors of the costumes. I think that's what you're talking about. The costumes in this movie were above and beyond anything people had seen in the past. This was her swan song. Every color. I don't know if you noticed this, and this is something that if you watch it a second or third time, which you probably won't, all four of the main cast always matched, and they always had these different versions of colors because Edith Head created a color palette that looked good on each individual person. Bing Crosby wore a lot of purple. Vera-Ellen had these beautiful yellow numbers and a red number. And everything was so form-fitting and beautiful. And it really created a style. This movie created stylistically an evolution of what people wore or what people thought they should wear. And I think that's huge. Number two is I think the music sounded better than most musicals, if not all musicals, up until this point. So if you look at the pantheon of musicals created in the 1940s, the sound was always a really hard thing to get. And I think this one cut through, and the songs were clear and beautiful. And this was, once again, one of the few films where soup to nuts, front to back, apart from maybe one song, choreography, was the one I would have cut. I would have cut that one. Of all the songs in the movie, they were all good, and they all perpetuated the plot. They weren't these, you know, they didn't get tired of them. And that's just where I'm coming from. I think third thing that I think this movie changed was marketing. This was the first time that Paramount and any really studio promoted a movie as like an event. It was something spectacular and special to go see in theaters, to see Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney on the silver screen singing Irving Berlin's White Christmas.
The premiere happened in Radio Hall when it released in 1954. So it was like this kind of big like hype about it. It was like the highest grossing picture of 1954. So there's a lot of things here that I think what they did to this film, I think a lot of other studios kind of like, you know, use this as a blueprint of what to do moving forward on that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not the movie that changed the world, you know. It's like like I said, Casablanca. It's no Wizard of Oz. It's no fucking Gone with the Wind or anything like that. This movie just kind of had its own little thing here, you know.
Before we go off, let's talk about negatively. So I mean, Brandon, you talked about you didn't like the plot. You thought the plot was kind of thin, which I don't disagree with you. And you didn't like the chemistry. What chemistry specifically didn't you like? When they were singing or were they not singing?
No, it's when they're not singing. It's when we're supposed to give a shit about them as people, not as starlets up on the screen,
as
but
people.
As people. Yeah.
So you're looking for character development. You're looking for something
right,
a little bit deeper. No, it's fine. It's good.
My character development.
Crosby, he needs to have a drug addiction, you know, and he's barely surviving.
My God, that would be amazing.
There needs to be some, yeah.
And Betty's gonna save him, but then something bad happens to Betty, and she disappears.
See, Bob.
In the very beginning, I want somebody to die, Kaye, and there's no one that died at the war.
This is not that kind of movie. The fact that the wall fell, and he jumped under the truck. I mean, God, you don't understand. This
Let
movie,
me pull you.
Oh no, God! And then the general sends the new general in the wrong direction for an hour and a half. I mean, that private's going to be a corporal in the morning or whatever it is.
Dude, that general knew when to leave because seriously, when he left, they just got bombed like within like 20 seconds. Like, oh shit, air raid, let's go.
So I had a question with the two sisters that came in the picture. How did the guys meet the sisters? Was it just because they were
They received
on
a letter. They received a letter from their Benny, the dog face boy, which was one of their old military buddies. They're pals in the army. And he sent a letter to them asking them to go and look at the Haynes sisters to give them some notes. Now, it turns out that Benny has been out of the country working in Alaska, because Alaska was not yet a state when this movie was made. and it turns out that Judy wrote the letter, and that's the whole starting of the limited catharsis that Brandon is after. Yep. The limited problem between Betty and Bob was that Bob said to Betty, "Oh, everyone's got an angle. It's okay. It's show business. This is everyone's trying to get in with someone else." And so this Judy wrote the letter on behalf of her brother to get them out and to look at their show.
Sneaky fuckers, man.
Yeah. I mean, and then you've got the whole Phil giving them their tickets, so they've got to sit up in the club car and the train, and then they have the snow number, which we didn't even talk about, which is one of my favorite numbers in the whole movie. But I mean, you do have some heartfelt moments, like I was saying earlier. One of my favorite numbers is "Counting Your Blessings Instead of Sheep." I do think that they kind of have that moment where they could see each other falling in love and going and having a family together. And then you've got her when she gets mad, when she thinks he's going on the Ed Sullivan show, or Ed whatever, to take advantage of the general.
The backstory of White Christmas, do you guys know about like the meaning behind the song? Because I was reading about it, and it's fucking the saddest thing in the world. So
tell me about it.
Irving Berlin, the guy who wrote the song and also wrote the original song for this movie, "Count Your Blessing Instead of Sheep," the song's about his 3-week-old son that died on Christmas Day, and he wrote the song, as a responding to a melancholy way about his son to get through it. So when you hear the lyrics, it is fucking the saddest thing in the world. So it's amazing how this song is based off of someone's horrible situation, and it's like this way how to express life and everything. But man, listen to the words, because I was shocked when I was reading about this. Like, oh my god, this backstory is so sad, based off of this song, man. Guys, did you guys know about this?
I think some of the best Christmas songs are a little melancholy. I think that if you look at one of my other favorite Christmas
Blue
movies
Christmas,
that doesn't really take place at Christmas. No. It's called Meet Me in St. Louis, and it's Judy Garland, and that's where the song "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" comes from. And she's singing that one to her sister about having to leave St. Louis and go to New York, and next year it'll be better, and this year is hard and horrible, but next year all our dreams will come true. And it's the same kind of thing. I think melancholy around Christmas really does work. I think I think the reason that White Christmas, and Eddie made a comment earlier, what does White Christmas have to do with the movie? And I would say everything. They're waiting for a White Christmas. The only thing that Vermont needs for that little inn to flourish is snow. All they need is a White Christmas, and they got their White Christmas in the last, on Christmas Eve. And I think that I'm with you, Jeremiah. I think that the story behind that song, it really resonates with people. I think that if you listen to the words, I think that you feel like something's not quite there, but it could be better. Like something is missing, but it could be your family's missing or your people are missing, and it's going to be better when you see them again. I don't know. It's just the way I get from that song. That's always how I feel.
Oh, it changed my life. Now I'm always going to be sad when I think about that song. Now,
they ruin it.
No, don't be sad.
Okay,
yeah, I'm going to be.
And that brings us to the end of review. Now it's time of the podcast where each of the hosts provides a score on the following scale. Major General over there, sir, can you please provide the scale?
Yes, I can. Okay.
Who is Hermie the Elf?
0 I don't know.
I didn't like any of these characters. So I went with Rudolph, which is not a movie that I particularly like anymore. I liked it when I was a kid. I liked Hermie the Elf as a character more than I liked any of these other ones.
You almost went Frosty. 0, the perfect movie. You don't need shit to enjoy. 1, the feel good first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, you're gonna Uber or Lyft home. 4, rough morning walk of shame. 5, blackout shit faced spring break drunk. All right, gentlemen, let's put down our scores. This is hard to.
Can you guys just do me a favor,
but
balance me out, because I know that I'm
why.
wrong, but just balance me out. When I say wrong, I'm wrong for you guys. It's not you, it's me.
It's not you guys. It's just me. I'm so sorry.
I think one of the problems that we're facing, we just need to stop doing these old movies.
No,
is
I think we
that
should.
You just don't like old movies. Like you don't like. Yeah, you really
No,
don't. You have not,
I like
you have
North by
not-
Northwest.
Casablanca
I like
is
Some Like It Hot. Like those two,
Yeah, I
enjoy.
enjoyed those. Casablanca is one of the
Lawrence
greatest movies
Arabia.
ever made.
This makes Lawrence Arabia really good.
It does.
I really like All the Sand now.
Oh, the
I'm just saying,
sand.
every time we do an old movie, you guys have the same.
No,
you have
Sean,
the same complaint.
You just pick bad
And it's
old
the
movies.
Virtue of no, Brandon. These are the greatest old movies on the planet. You have bad taste. It's not me talking. It's the whole world.
I know.
88% of people think this is a great Christmas
I did
movie.
the script and I
you
saw the
suck.
percent. I saw the percentage and I
high
thought, my
score.
God,
Easy
I
there.
don't know.
I'm going to bring some 80s style to you. I'm going to balance it out to you, Brandon. So
Please do.
it's going to feel a little warmer.
Where do you see 88%?
Oh, that was
Rotten Tomatoes got an
Rotten
88%.
Tomatoes.
7.6 on
No,
IMDb.
that's because
Sorry,
this
I
was their
looking at
great
that. My bad.
grandfather's favorite movie.
Yeah, because the 80-year-olds are really going on Rotten Tomatoes and giving their reviews.
There were 60-year-olds back in the day, okay? All right, guys,
All right.
ready?
Any last ways to get me down a couple knots on the score
Literally,
board?
I
Here
will.
goes. I'm
Dude,
trying
if
to.
that's how you feel,
That's all that
If
matters.
you-
How you feel.
if you like lump of coal in your life, I mean, that's how you feel, you know?
No way. I was hoping for
playing
more
with you, dude.
Christmas. I was just hoping for more
I'm
Christmas.
playing with you so much, dude.
I know.
Couldn't give
God,
a
you make
I
me
mean,
feel like I'm the Grinch.
they dressed as Santa. Yeah, I bet you guys like the Grinch. I bet you guys like Jim Carrey.
They
No, I hate
tried
the
to
Grinch.
dress
Oh my
us.
God. I do love the original.
They put a bad image on Santa.
I've never
'cause-
seen that, by the way.
It's
I
horrible.
know
It's
gonna
the
sound
worst
shitty,
movie
but
ever.
I've never
It
seen
is
that
the worst
movie.
movie ever.
Oh, I don't think it's a 5. I just watched it
Jim
last
Carrey?
night. It was fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you would. You would. All right, let's just
Yeah.
put up the damn scores.
All right. Let's do this, guys.
One.
3, 2.
Doing it.
Okay,
Doing
let's
it.
go.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we'll get it down where it should be.
I can't believe you didn't put a damn 1 in front of that.
You know, I was jumping around from a 3.8 to a 3.75.
You know what? Maybe Eddie, you go first, then I'll go, and then we'll get the bad out of the way, and then we can just.
No. Let's do this. Let's balance this out. Eddie goes first. I will go next.
Okay.
You go. Sean,
Sean will.
it's his movie. Let him talk about his movie.
White Christmas. I was, Sean, I get what you mean, like the whole meaning of the White Christmas, and they got a White Christmas with snow. I didn't get none of that because they were always inside doing a musical and doing a show. So I didn't get that. And then it's in Vermont. Of course it snows in Vermont. So it's confusing. Yeah. And then they're in Florida. And so it was jumping around a lot for me. I do like Bing. Bing was cool to see him in his heyday. And that's probably why I knocked my score down from a complete 5 to where it's at right now. I just don't think it holds up to some of the other movies I've watched in my life. I like old classic movies. I just don't think if I have to really compare it to what's out there today, it doesn't hold up to my level of scores for movies. Like if we're talking about like Godfather, E.T., Jurassic Park, it's definitely not there for me. So that's how we did all those movies this past 5 seasons. We've done a lot of these top movies, and this one it's a Christmas movie to some. To me, I felt like it missed the mark of a Christmas movie. I needed more Christmas. I don't know why. I felt like I was missing that part. I felt like it was dancing around a lot with the plot, and that stuck at me a little bit too much. I felt I was confused. I was lost. I didn't know what was going on half the time. I felt like, and I was really trying to pay attention. But I'm happy I watched it. I can see how this movie, set up the stage for more movies to come. But I definitely see that this was a stepping stone for cinema, and that's all it was for me in my eyes. But overall, I give it a 3.75. Jeremiah.
Yeah, Sean introduced this movie to me back in the day and brought like this warm and happiness into my life, you know, and I feel that warm and happiness when I watch this film. There's something really kind of it brings you into a special place, and that's the best way I can describe this movie. Is it the best movie? Absolutely not. Is it a Christmas movie? There's Christmas to it. I think you get Christmas at the beginning of the film and you get Christmas at the end of the film. It's not like, you know, the craziest Christmas movie that you will ever see. The chemistry in this movie is good. I think that, you know, I wish that they focused more on, you know, Phil and Judy, Danny Kaye, and Vera-Ellen, because I thought their chemistry was more than, you know, Bing and Rosemary, because I wanted to focus more on their story more than anything. But there's something really kind of special about this movie, man. Just like I was talking about earlier in this episode, is that watching this film, it just made me think of my grandparents, and it just brought me into a special time that that have just made me think more about certain parts of my life. And I think when movies do something like that, there's something really nice about that you want to kind of keep close to you. And so that's the reason why I scored a 1.75. There is some issues here in this movie. There's a lot more musicals in this movie that I'd rather not have. Than it could have been more about, you know, the feeling of Christmas. And that's what's kind of missing in this movie for me, a little bit on that part. A 1.75, listeners. There you have it.
Jeremiah, you give such a really well thought out score, and I love the idea that you talk about how it makes you think of Christmas and the people that you celebrated with and the people you can't celebrate with anymore. Which is why I feel like a complete asshole for following you up and giving my score. So, damn you for that, man. God. All right, so listen, I'm not gonna belabor the issue. I'm just gonna say it. To me, independently, I think the actors did a really good job. I think it was a fine job. I don't think it was extraordinary. I don't think it needed to be extraordinary. But together, I wanted to feel like these were characters who genuinely cared about each other. And I am talking about the non-musical portions. You know, it really does bother me that this is billed as one of the great Christmas movies. And ultimately, the only reason I see it as a Christmas movie is that Christmas just happens to be a word in the title of the song, which they decided to call the movie. I get that it bookends with Christmas. I didn't feel Christmas. I get where, you know, Sean and Jerry, you guys are saying it is Christmas. No, I got the Coco Cabana. You know, I got more of a feeling of what's her name, Cameron Diaz in The Mask than I got of Christmas. And that's, to me, it took me out of the season. Here it is. It's December. Yeah. Sean, I can't look at you, man. It's December. I want to fucking
little Saving Private Ryan mixed in there too. I got a little Saving Private Ryan mask in there. Yeah,
I'm trying to hold back, but I'm like, you guys keep saying Coco Cabana. They were in the Florida Club for 8 minutes. Like, what? Well, I don't understand where you keep going back. It was 8 minutes at the beginning of the movie.
No,
well, that West Side Story in there too.
He had two musical numbers that were in the Coco Cabana.
West Side Story, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, John Shakiris.
Well,
yeah.
Listen, I will get beyond that.
No, Michael Shakiris.
Listeners, if you can just like watch Sean right now, he is moving around his seat and he's trying to hold everything back right now.
Perplexed is the right word. I agree. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make it quick, though. I really mean it. The chemistry was not there. It was lacking. The musical numbers were great. The costumes were great. The choreography was great. But the story was so thin. It was so paper thin. And whether it was meant to be paper thin or it wasn't, it left me wanting a shitload more. And I got to be honest, the only reason this is not in the rough morning walk of shame category of the fours for me is the fact that I've always wanted to see this movie, and I finally did. So that's something. And that one scene where the general comes in and he sees his men. And it would have been actually a higher score for me if he didn't go and make that little quip about when we. You know, starts like chewing him out. I'm like, just go fucking hug somebody. God damn it. But with that being said, it's a 3.97. God, I wanted to like it. God, I didn't. God, I will never watch this movie again. This is an active get up. Like if I'm living in the 90s, I'm getting up off the couch, I'm walking over to the cable box, and I'm pushing the button to change the channel. if I see this one come on. I love you, Sean. I love you, Jer.
He's trying to get back to TBS.
Yeah, shit. Give me Shawshank Redemption. That's what I'm saying. Give me anything. But Sean, take it away, man. Tell me how I'm wrong.
Give me 24 hours of The Christmas Story.
All right, so there's two kinds of people in this world. There are people who like old movies, and there are people who don't like old movies, and you guys just don't like old movies. That's
movies
fine.
I do like old movies.
My time.
God.
Stop. My time. I shut up for all your shit. You listen to
Ed,
mine.
we can be Sean.
You guys don't like old movies. You don't like old actors. You don't like old actors. You don't like the way that old actors deliver lines. And I get it. It's campy and it's different and it's not like today. Bing Crosby is nothing like Morgan Freeman or some of the greatest actors of generations. He's not. He's a musical guy who comes in and he lights up the screen by having funny little quips and lighting his cigarette or lighting his match with his hand. It was the coolest thing in the world I saw in this movie. He is iconic. This is one of his greatest movies ever. This is one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. It is, I mean, if you look at any rankings, it's on every list of great Christmas movies. I can't think of a movie that's made after this for Christmas that I like better, except for maybe 2 or 3. And that's, 70 years of movies. And, 70 years of movies. You guys talk about, you like old movies from the 70s, but you like old movies from the 50s. And I get it. And film was finding its way. It was finding its way, just like advertising was finding its way. Everything was a little cheap and different. And the sets were different. And I get it. But this is one of the greatest musicals of all time. It has some of the greatest music of all time. That's why it's still being performed on Broadway today. It is still one of the best movies on Rotten Tomatoes. It's still one of the best movies on IMDb for Christmas. And the chemistry was great. The music was great. I mean, I bet you dollars to donuts the number of people who listened to Bing Crosby's White Christmas as one of the first songs of the season is in the 60s. 60% of people have that song as their number one, like, start the Christmas season with White Christmas. Or, roasting chestnuts over the open fire with Nat King Cole. I think that those Christmas has a 1950s feel. The reason why everyone loves National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is because the Christmas time he was trying to recreate was 1950s Christmas. It was this moment in history. So just letting you know, one of the greatest.
Meet Me in St. Louis. How about that?
Fantastic movie.
Put that one on next
doing
time.
that. No, we're never doing it. I'm never bringing my favorites
I want
again,
to.
because all you guys do is shit on it. Oh, The Boy Next Door and John Truitt. That is literally one of my favorite movies of all time. Anyway, that being said, I give this a 0.75. I think this is at or near perfection for a Christmas movie. It is definitely at or near perfection for Bing Crosby, and it pretty much, I think, alleviates all your scores to a point where it should be like a 2.6. This movie should be around.
Fucked up, man. You do the math,
We'll see what we get. I bet it's higher than that.
Goddamn math.
0.07. No zero.
That's where it's at.
Okay, so this is going to be a 2.555.
Yes.
So this is a 2.555. This is between a Happy Buzz and you're going to Uber lifting home, more leaning towards the Uber lifting
I
home
want to
than
get
the Happy
shit faced
Buzz.
is what I want.
And Jeremiah,
it's a
where does that
2.5.
put us on the list of films that we've reviewed?
Right about in the middle.
Number 73 on our list here, folks.
That's about where it should be.
What's better than White Christmas?
Everything.
Okay, so what's better is Moulin Rouge, Grease, In the Line of Fire, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Quiet Place 2, The Greatest Showman, and North by Northwest, as well as Harry Potter,
worse?
The Sorcerer's Stone, and Home Alone 2, by the way.
Yeah.
What's
Plus
worse
in New York.
What's worse is Rocky,
Nope.
Terminator,
Nope.
A Knight's Tale,
Nope.
Pitch Perfect, Beetlejuice, Sleepy Hollow, Clueless, Dracula.
I would rather watch Beetlejuice
Vanilla
again.
Sky, Minority Report.
So I want you guys to know I'm on Rotten Tomatoes. The 100 best Christmas movies. White Christmas is number 36.
Eddie,
and
you're hurting our
Just What's
argument.
35. The
Muppets Christmas Carol.
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
And you know what's number one? Meet Me in St. Louis.
Bad Santa is 32.
God,
that just shows
that
you.
movie fucking
Oh,
sucks.
Sean. That's better than this movie, huh? I bet Home Alone 3 is ranked higher.
The fact that movie, that White Christmas is on the list negates any argument that you possibly could have with making it a 4. Like, that's just, I mean,
I gave it 3.97.
Crazy. You'd be crazy, bro.
3.97. It's all good.
There you go.
Said.
Every day, 375.
Yeah, it's your score to give, and I appreciate your score, and I appreciate you being wrong.
Everyone has their own opinion. Everyone can be.
Listen,
sees movies differently.
Next week,
and
Sean's going to take a shit on this other film.
Well, see, that's the thing is, I like that other film. I really do. Well, unless I watch it and it's trash.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed our review or are a fan of the podcast, we ask that you please subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or any other branch of podcasting listening fare that you might be listening to us on. You can also find us on Instagram at @the.gentleman podcast. That is at @the.gentleman podcast. As Sean likes to say, the dot means a lot. And you can also visit our website at thegentlemanpodcast.com, or if you want to reach out, you can do so by email at hosts, that's hosts, plural, at thegentlemanpodcast.com. We are also on YouTube, which I think Jeremiah can expand on a little bit more, and we're very proud of that. And we are getting ready for season 6, which is going to bring you a whole new array of fun and movies and reviews and drinks and more bad movies that we're not always going to shit on, only when they're shitty movies.
Yeah, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, folks, listeners. So
movie. Great movie.
We have our YouTube page. You can find us exactly just like our Instagram at the.gentleman podcast. So the word 3, the and sign, 1-2 gentlemen, 3.5 gentlemen.
Yeah.
And we'll put a link on our Instagram, and we'll start putting a link on all of our podcast in the notes. We'll put a link on all of our podcast episodes so you can link over to YouTube. I just gave Jeremiah a chore, but that's okay.
Yeah.
we can easily say now that you can find us on every platform you find your podcast at.
Boom.
Simple as that.
Boom.
All right. That being said, next week we'll bring you another Christmas classic. And really appreciate you guys listening, and enjoy your holidays, enjoy your Christmas, and we'll see you next week. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Peace out.
Clink, clink.
Peace out on Earth.
Peace out on Earth.
Goodwill towards Sean.
Okay.
Can't wait
We
to
really
do
are doing
Gremlins.
2
I'm gonna give that
Christmas movies that are not
1,
Christmas movies.
maybe like a half.
Yeah.
This is where we should have done Die Hard.
Oh, Gremlins is beyond Christmas.
It's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
So you can shit on Die Hard?
I will.
Yeah, dude.
I will.
I can forgive you on that
Listen,
for a long time.
Sean, if
You know,
I don't know.
you know what's really cool is Die Hard 2 is also on Christmas Day, by the way.
Is it really? Oh, we could do that.